In the mid-1990s, the internet felt like the Wild West, enormous, chaotic, and full of promise. Search engines existed, but they were clumsy. They cataloged pages and spat out lists ranked by keyword density, not by meaning. Users waded through spam, irrelevant results, and banner ads to find what they needed. For two Stanford PhD students, this mess wasn't an annoyance, it was an opportunity. Larry Page and Sergey Brin met at Stanford in 1995. Their personalities clashed at first. Sergey called Larry arrogant. Larry found Sergey talkative. Yet both shared a restless curiosity. How could machines understand the web the way humans do? They began a research project in a cramped campus unit that would quietly rewrite the rules of information. They called their early prototype BackRub. The name was odd, but the idea behind it was revolutionary. Instead of ranking pages by repeated words, they proposed ranking them by links, treating each link like a citation, a vote of trust. The math they created measured influence and context across millions of pages. This algorithm, PageRank, became the beating heart of their engine. Working out of a dorm room with scavenged computer parts, pizza boxes, and the kind of sleep-deprived intensity only graduate students know, Page and Brin built a better search. When they registered the domain in 1997, they settled on a name that captured their ambition. Google, a riff on Google, the mathematical term for a 1 followed by 100 zeros. The name signaled an audacious goal: to organize virtually all the world's information. Google's early advantage was not flash, it was clarity and speed. The homepage was almost painfully simple: a logo, a search box, and results that actually answered queries. No ads, no clutter. People noticed. Academics, then tech enthusiasts, began to Google. The engine's cleaner, smarter results spread by word of mouth. Traffic exploded. Investors took notice too. In 1998, Larry and Sergey secured angel funding, and the company incorporated. An unforgettable Silicon Valley origin myth was born. A garage in Menlo Park where Google's first servers were kept in cardboard boxes and fastened together with straps. The world was changing fast, and Google rode that wave. But growth raises questions. How do you monetize a product that people think should be free? Early attempts at paid search didn't fit Google's clean design. The company experimented until 2000 when it launched AdWords, a system of targeted text ads tied to search queries. At first, AdWords was clumsy. It evolved into a precisely targeted auction platform that allowed advertisers to bid on keywords. Advertisers loved it. Users barely noticed it. Ads that were relevant helped solve the problem of funding a free search service, and Google's revenue model was born. With money came expansion, risk, and invention. Google's engineers moved fast and built everything from vanity projects to core infrastructure. Gmail launched in 2004 with a gigabyte of free storage, almost comically generous at the time, and rewrote expectations about email. Google Maps changed how we navigate cities. The company bought YouTube in 2006 for $1.65 billion in stock, a purchase criticized by some analysts then and regarded as prescient by posterity. Android, acquired in 2005, transformed the mobile landscape, giving Google a dominant pathway to connect the web to billions of devices. Google's culture, flat, engineering-driven, obsessed with data, became famous. The early mantra was focus on the user and all else will follow. Free meals, open collaboration, and a tolerance for risky bets created a creative machine. But success also attracted scrutiny. Google's dominance in search and advertising raised questions about monopoly and power. Privacy controversies simmered as the company collected data across search, maps, email, and mobile devices. Governments across the world began to ask whether Google's reach was too wide. The company navigated waves of regulatory pressure and public criticism while continuing to build audacious projects. Google's moonshots through its parent company Alphabet later on ranged from self-driving cars at Waymo to life science ventures and fiber optic internet. Some bets faltered, some transformed industries. Google Lens and AI-driven improvements started to show how deeply machine learning could reshape everyday tools. Yet for each technical triumph, there came another debate. The ethics of AI, the balance between personalization and privacy, and the influence over public discourse through search rankings and YouTube recommendations. Google's leadership also evolved. Sergey and Larry moved from founders to corporate stewards as the company matured. Eric Schmidt's tenure as CEO brought structure and management discipline. Later, Sundar Pichai rose from product manager to CEO, steering Google through complex geopolitical and regulatory environments, while continuing to place machine learning at the center of product strategy. The company's financial footprint is staggering. Billions in annual revenue, a dominant slice of digital advertising, and vast investments in infrastructure, data centers, undersea cables, and satellites. But numbers alone don't explain Google's cultural impact. It reshaped how we ask questions, access news, and connect with each other. To Google became a verb. Knowledge that once required travel to libraries and archives became instantly available on a phone screen. Yet, the story is not simply triumphal. Critics point to algorithmic bias, the spread of misinformation, and a platform architecture that sometimes amplifies extreme content. Employees have pushed back on projects they view as ethically questionable. Antitrust lawsuits in multiple jurisdictions have aimed to limit Google's ability to bundle services or favor its own products. Each claim forces a central question. Can a private company responsibly curate the world's information while also serving shareholders? As we look at Google today, it's a paradox. A company that began as a crusade to make information universally useful now wrestles with how to wield that power responsibly. Its engineering ethos, measured experiments, A/B tests, relentless iteration, built a product that millions rely on every day. Its ambitions, from AI assistance to quantum computing, continue to push boundaries. The untold side of Google is its human story. Two stubborn students with a math insight, a tiny team that scaled into a global organization, and a culture that amplified curiosity into real-world change. Along the way, they made decisions with enormous consequence about privacy, competition, and how information flows. Those decisions are still being debated in courtrooms, in legislative halls, and across living rooms around the world. The Google story is not finished. As it moves deeper into artificial intelligence, cloud services, hardware, and beyond, the same tension remains. Innovation versus accountability, speed versus reflection. The company that began as a clean search box in a dorm room now sits at the center of global conversations about power, truth, and access. In the end, Google's legacy is complex. It democratized information in ways the founders could only imagine in a dorm room brainstorm. It created infrastructure that powers billions of lives, and it forced the world to ask urgent new questions about who controls information and how that control should be governed. The tale of Google is a story of invention and influence, of triumph and challenge, a vivid modern saga about technology's promise and its responsibilities. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the empire behind your doorstep, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories of power, money, and ambition. Because the next empire we expose might be one you've already trusted with your life.